Should we go over let's go over the blossom set while we're on tomatoes. Now you should mention this funky new tomato. That is really cool. Yeah, I wanted the rot stop. The blossom mid rot. What you'll find, this is just what I do. Okay, I love tomatoes. We're salsa gardeners. We love pico de gallo. We love onions. We love herbs, tomatoes. We eat it off. We could live off that, nothing else. And whatever comes off the grill. That's our thing. We love to do that. What I do, the reason I do it, our nights are so cold, there's such a huge swing between daytime and nighttime, it messes with certain plants, especially your summer plants. I know it won't frost, but the soil is cool right now. So you'll plant tomatoes, you'll plant eggplants and cucumbers and watermelons, and they won't want to grow very much. So they're kind of slow to take off. As we get closer to the middle to the end of May, the soil warms up and it starts to explode. You just see the difference. And that swing between day and night really messes with the plant. It starts to shut down. It just doesn't want a fruit. It doesn't want to set, it'll blossom, but it won't set a fruit on the blossom. Very, very common problem. So what I do every year, I get one of these and one of these. Every year I buy a fresh one every year. And what I will start with, as soon as my tomatoes are up tall enough, they start to set blossoms. They're up about a foot, foot and a half, about knee high. They're starting to generate fruit. I will start hitting them with Blossom Set. Blossom Set, what this does, you've front-loaded your soils with so much nutrient that the plant actually forgets to stop at fruit. It just grows, new vines, new foliage. And what the Blossom Set does is it slows the plant down and goes, okay, take a break. I think you need to think about setting some fruit now. So you got to think like the plant. And so you're not spraying, this is a misconception, this is not a pollinator for the flowers. This is a foliage spray for the plant. And it forces it to hiccup so that it remembers what it's supposed to do, and that is set fruit. So I'll start that about the time I think it should set fruit. You know when that is, about knee high. Every other month, every other week I spray this on my plants. I just go through and I feel good about it. Spritz, 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 spritz.
Do you use it just on tomatoes? Or
I use it on the garden because it works on everything. But it's especially, you hear it written up on tomatoes and peppers. Those are the most problematic. But if you spray it on pumpkins, on eggplants, whatever, it also helps the fruit get larger and set more fruits as well. So it doesn't just work on tomatoes, although the tomatoes are the #1 culprit. The other week, so once a week I'm spraying something. So one week I'll spray this, the next week I put the Rot Stop on. This is, Rot Stop is liquid calcium. It's directly intaked from the foliage. So again, blossom end rot, that's what I'm trying to counteract. There's nothing worse when you get this beautiful fruit and half of it's rotten. That's an insult to me, personally, as a gardener. That's not right. So I spray this, I put gypsum underneath each plant, and I spray this on each of my plants. What I find is the flavor gets better. I'll have a better tasting fruit or vegetable, and I'll have a larger fruit when I give it more calcium. So once a week I'm spraying this or that, and just go through in the morning and just spritz it on. And I'm hitting the foliage, specifically the foliage, like a mist. Okay? Yes?
What about chemicals, though, in those products? Because, you don't want that in your food that you're eating.
Yeah. I don't know that these are, I think this is organic. I don't know. It's calcium. Calcium.
Just calcium.
Yeah, so, but if that's a worry for you, don't spray it. For me, I'm not worried about these because I don't think I'm worried about petroleum and bug killers, insects, systemics. I'm worried about those. These I'm less worried. For myself, I'm a hybrid organic gardener. I try to go organic whenever possible. All of our vegetables are non-GMO. All of them are organic. That's what we stand for. But when grasshoppers are taking over your garden, sometimes you need to break out the big guns, and organics ain't going to happen. That's not going to, we want death. You're going to die now. I want you quivering before my feet now. Stop eating my vegetables. So I'll go after them that way. But there's ways to counteract. We can keep it organic. This is my number one defense. 100% organic bug spray. It's home harvest. We put this together years ago. Great for mealy bugs, the smaller things, thrip, aphids. But also, I've got a real problem. Again, I'm a pumpkin and squash grower. They start to fruit when the monsoons hit. And so I tend to fight in my own gardens powdery mildew. Every year it's powdery mildew, powdery mildew. This is one of the best powdery mildew preventers because it's a neem oil. NEEM is the main product. Neem oils, they coat the spores so it can't spread, so it keeps it in check. So I keep it completely organic and not have powdery mildew that keeps bugs away. It's got a repelling action, got an odor to it. So you can keep a lot of this stuff very organic. Sometimes you got to break out the big guns. You get insects or something funky, we've got a microscope downstairs and a huge screen. If you want to see an aphid up close when it's this big, it's freakish. I think you have 10 eyeballs. No, they do have a lot of legs.
You look at it and you're like, oh my goodness.
You should talk about your new tomato thing. That is so cool. And then bring that one home. That is so cool.
I think growers sit around in the wintertime in dark corners. And
We get bored like everyone else. I've grown that enough. What's new?
Yeah, so they're always coming up with new plants. So, and the realization that more and more people are gardening in containers.
Yeah.
So they're in smaller homes, then maybe they just have a balcony or a small patio. So they have come to realize, okay, gardeners are growing things in containers and they don't have an acre to plant their vegetables in. So this is a new tomato that they've come up with. It's a dwarf tomato. So it is wonderful for containers because you know a lot of tomatoes, they bind. A lot of your tomatoes just want to bind out. And you get the cages and the next thing you know the cage is like this because it's gotten too heavy.
Yep.
So this is a really nice dwarf tomato. The thing about this is it's got about 3 different varieties of tomatoes in here. So you're going to have everything from little cherry tomatoes to the great big tomatoes.
On the same plant, is that cool or what? Can't wait.
So it's kind of cool because you never know what you're going to get. So if you like that fun of gardening,
Yeah.
this is definitely going to be a fun one because it's going to produce different types of tomatoes on the plant. It's not going to get over, I think it's 30 inches is its
Yep.
maximum.
Yeah.
So very easy to grow, very easy to control. And you know, if it's June and it's 100 degrees and maybe your pot is in too hot a spot, you kind of move it to where it gets some more shade. So a great way to have fun growing.
That's one that size. That's one where I would start. I mean, I would take it home. I would start rod stop plus mineral. I would just once a week. I would spritz the foliage, and I'll have better fruits, bigger fruits, that kind of stuff.
So what's your opinion? Because I know people.
Oh, are you asking my opinion? She never does this at home.
Because I know people will ask, can I leave it in this pot?
Absolutely, you can leave it in that pot.
It's enough
You can
soil
absolutely do
and all
that.
that.
You need to watch your watering. So we're going to take that one home. I'm going to pop the cage off, and I'll pop the bottom off, and I'll plant it in a bigger pot, just so I don't have to worry. We work for a living. We're coming to work every day. If it's got more soil, I got more capacity. I've got more fudge factor. I can make a mistake. If the irrigation miscycles. I've got more soil more sponge for nutrients and water to be a part of. Oh, that's a good idea.
Their back table back there is called Super Dwarf Tomato Super Dwarf.
That's they need to come up with
A better name.
We should make it
We
more
should have
obvious.
asked.
We can help them with that. Basically, it's a triple play. Is this triple play apple? 3 apples in the same. They did that with a tomato. They just grafted 3 tomatoes on there. That's pretty cool.
I think it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
The one thing about tomatoes, and I think it's only true of tomatoes, when you go to plant them, they're one of the few plants that'll actually root off the stem.
Yep.
So you can pull those bottom leaves off and plant it deep. And when you plant it deep, it's going to root out from there. It's going to give you better root structure, so you're going to have a stronger plant.
We're taking these home. So I would take this and I would probably plant it I would probably plant that deep in the bucket. So I'd leave this foliage out. I always look for a plant for a tomato that's got a long stem. So all those hairs you see going up and down the stem, those will turn into roots. Only do this with tomatoes, nothing else, or everything else will die. You need tomato and grapes. Grapes will do that. So grapes and tomatoes I plant deep, but I'll try to get as much soil. I'll sprinkle some gypsum underneath this, so it picks up the calcium, and it'll just start growing. So I get a bigger root mass. That'll be really important as we get into summer monsoon season. It really plays out well for us. So I would not do that to this. It's already rooted. It's already got a root ball this big. I would just take the pot off, plant it, and call it all good. While we're on tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, exceptionally well here. They really do well. Medium-sized tomatoes, Early Girl, Celebrity, Champion, San Diego. There's a whole bunch of medium-sized tomatoes. Does exceptionally well. If you're new to gardening, start in the area. Start with those. Don't start with the huge, slicing, big boys, Brandywines, those things, because they're notorious for starting out slow, and then it'll be about frost time. We're getting into October. You can feel the chill in the air, and it hasn't ripened yet. So you'll be notorious for it's just constant. If you got greenhouses, that's cheating. Now you can start, and it'll actually warm the soil up faster. Why don't you pull up that plant, the season starter? We use a lot of these. I should have brought in I've shown those off before. I've got probably 20 of these in my house. They last for years and years and years. But they're like a mini greenhouse around your plant. Every new first plantings, I put those around everything that loves the heat. Eggplants, cucumbers, tomatoes, obviously. So I'll have these green teepees, basically. You fill them up. They used to be called walls of water. Your grandparents, that's what they called them. You fill up these tubes with water, and then the water actually retains the heat and releases that in the middle of the night when it gets chilly at night. It also, what it mainly does, I find, it keeps the frost off, but it warms the soil up so that your plants want to root faster. So if you're going to go with a bigger tomato, that's well worth the investment, and it will up your game so that you get some fruit before that first frost comes. Anything bigger, okay? I generally go with a smaller, medium size. I like Celebrity, I like Champion, San Diego. Early Girl we love because that's the best. It's got a tart flavor to it. It's the best one in salsas. Those are some of my personal favorites. And then you've got to have a cherry tomato. I love yellow cherry. I love yellow pear. Cherries because they don't go in the house. They just pop. You're in the garden communing and you just pop them in. My mouth's watering right now.
You just got to be Vincent.
Oh yeah, we got a black lab that loves tomatoes.
Word of warning, this is a two-man job to put these up.
No, I did it last year by myself. You turn a 5-gallon bucket, guys, upside down over the plant, you put that over it, fill it up, take the bucket out. Works out well. Yeah, it is 2 man. It's kind of a messy thing. I'll keep those on. I'll keep those on. I mean, they stand about this tall. Let's get it up where they can see that. The plant protectors stand about that tall. Once the plant is starting to come up, and it's starting, I might not get it off of there. I'm trying to gauge that. When do I take those off? Because they don't stay on year round. When the plant's coming up about 8 inches or so out of the water tubes, then I'll just slip it off, dump it out, leave them in the sun for a few days where they dry out, and then I squirrel them away in the garage till the next year. Plant protectors really play out, not for your cool season plants, but mainly for your summer loving plants.